Good evening, and welcome to the Connecticut Department of Transportation Virtual Public Information Meeting for Project 141-157, the replacement of Bridge 2128, carrying Route 12, known as Riverside Drive, over the Sunset Hill Brook in the town of Thompson. My name is Brian Reed, and I am the project manager for the project being presented this evening. Before I explain the meeting format and introduce the design team, I wanted to provide some information on our previous coordination with the town. On February 4th, 2021, members of the design team presented this project to Thompson First Selectman Amy St. Onge and the Director of Public Works, Richard Benoit, along with specific details of the existing and proposed bridge. We discussed a proposed road closure and traffic detour along with the project schedule, all of which we'll present to you this evening. At the meeting, neither the First Selectman nor the Director of Public Works expressed objections to the replacement bridge project or the proposed road closure and traffic detour. Subsequently, as the preliminary design of the project has progressed, we have coordinated with the town to schedule a virtual public information meeting for the project, which brings us to this evening's public presentation. Please understand that coordination with the town, adjacent property owners, and other stakeholders will continue as we advance the project through its design. Now I'll introduce the project's design team from the Connecticut Department of Transportation. Bart Sweeney, Division Chief of Bridges. Andy Cardinelli, the Bridge Design Principal Engineer. Again, I'm Brian Reed, the Bridge Design Project Manager for this project. And the following individuals will be presenting the project to you in a moment. Raymond Bassar, the Bridge Design Project Engineer. Mikhail Thomas, the Bridge Design Project Designer. And Matt Giannakopoulos, the Right-of-Way Coordinator from the Office of Rights-of-Way. Matt will provide an overview of the procedures followed by the department for right-of-way impacts to properties and property acquisitions. Following the formal presentation, the project will host a question and answer session, during which time you will have an opportunity to ask the project team questions or provide comments regarding the proposed project. The project is in the preliminary design phase and is therefore subject to possible changes as the design develops. But this evening's presentation will provide you with a good overview of what can be expected. Your comments and questions are a welcome part of our design process and may serve us in the continued development of our design. There are three ways of communicating with the project's design team to ask questions or provide comments for the question and answer session that follows the formal presentation. You can send an email to dotproject141-157@ct.gov. You can leave a voicemail by calling 860-944-1111. Please reference this project, 141-157, since the line is shared by other projects. Or if viewing through MS Teams, you can send us a question through the MS Teams chat window and hit the send button. This process will be described in more detail in a moment. Questions may be submitted at any time during this evening's presentation. However, responses will only be provided during the question and answer session. Questions submitted through the project email, phone voicemail, and the MS Teams chat will be screened by the project's design team during the question and answer session. Screened questions will be posted to the MS Teams question and answer chat window of the presentation. Viewers of the MS Teams event can access the posted questions by clicking the Featured tab in the Live Event question and answer window. During the question and answer session, posted questions will be read aloud for our team to answer. Please note that the project's comment period is open through Thursday, June 10th, 2021. Any comments or questions may be submitted using the project email or the project voicemail previously described.
If you are viewing through Microsoft Teams, you can post a question or comment by clicking the little question mark to the top right of the presentation window and clicking the My Questions tab or the Ask a Question button. You then have an option to enter your name and type your question into the Ask a Question field. Click the checkbox to post anonymously, then click the double arrow or hit Enter to post a question. Click Featured to view announcements and attendee questions. You may experience a delay before your own sent question is posted. You can exit the questions window by clicking X and can return to it at any time by clicking the Show Q&A question mark. Click the My Questions tab to post another question or hit X to close the window again. To maximize the presentation window, click the arrow to the bottom right of the presentation window and click the arrow again to reduce the window size.
In accordance with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, no person shall, on the basis of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation or subject to discrimination in the development of this project. I'll mention this again later, but at the conclusion of our presentation, we would appreciate it if you could take the time to complete our voluntary survey at www.sur.com/r//8C9WWJL. A recording of the formal presentation will be posted to YouTube after the live event. Closed captioning, including non-English translation options, will be available at that time. Without further delay, I'll now hand off to Raymond Bassar to start the formal portion of our presentation. Thank you very much for your patience.
Good evening, everyone. I am Raymond Bassar. I'm the project engineer of this project. Before I start, I would like to thank you all for taking time to join the public information meeting this evening. The state project 141-157 entails the replacement of Bridge 02128, carrying Route 12, also known as Riverside Drive, which crosses over Sunset Hill Brook in town of Thompson. In this presentation, the location of project, existing bridge condition, traffic considerations during construction, utility considerations, the details of the proposed structure, right-of-way impacts, environmental permits, and project schedule will be presented. A map capturing the project location is up on your screen. The red circle indicates the project location. The bridge is located approximately 1 mile north of I-395. Here's a blown-up view where the bridge is located. The bridge is located in a close proximity to the intersection of Laporta Street and Route 12. What's shown on the screen is an aerial view of the site. The yellow circle shows the bridge location. The bridge is located approximately 1 mile south of Thompson School District. The image shown on your screen captures the northbound of Route 12 and northern approach to the bridge. This is where the bridge is located. This is the inlet side of the bridge. The image was taken at the intersection of Laporta Street to Route 12. This view captures the southern approach to the bridge. This is where the bridge is located. On this image, we are looking towards Laporta Street. Next, I would like to touch on the existing bridge data. The bridge was built back in 1922. It's almost 100 years old. It is a very old structure. The existing bridge consists of concrete abutments on each side, and a concrete slab spans over the concrete abutments. In terms of the functionality of the bridge, as mentioned earlier, it carries Route 12 over Sunset Hill Brook with one lane of traffic in each direction. Based on the estimate in 2015, the average daily traffic is 5,700 vehicles, in which 4% of those are trucks. As far as the dimensions, the bridge is 22 feet long out to out. The overall width of the bridge is 30 feet 6 inches. The width of the paved roadway surface, which is from curb to curb, is 27 feet 8 inches. There is an existing sanitary sewer line that runs parallel to the bridge. The sanitary sewer will be protected and maintained during construction activities. On this slide, I will present the condition of existing bridge. There are three major deficiencies associated with this bridge requiring its replacement. The first deficiency is the hydraulic conveyance area of the existing bridge. The conveyance area is shown in blue box on this isometric view. The conveyance area can also be defined as hydraulic opening. The current hydraulic opening is not large enough to accommodate large water passage through the structure. Due to the proximity with the French River downstream, there is a significant amount of backwater being pushed against the structure from the river. Due to the presence of backwater, the hydraulic design criteria for 100-year design and 500-year design check cannot be met with the current hydraulic opening. Based on the hydraulic analysis performed by our hydraulic engineers, the existing 18.5 feet of clear span between the abutment faces should be increased to 40 feet so that the bridge meets the current hydraulic design requirements. The second issue associated with this bridge is its structural condition. As mentioned earlier, the bridge is 100 years old. It is a very old structure. Therefore, the concrete has started deteriorating. Based on a bridge inspection performed on this bridge in 2015, it was observed that there was large concrete deterioration on the underside of concrete slab. The underside of the slab was rehabilitated in 2015. However, in the subsequent inspections performed on the bridge in 2017 and in 2019, it was noted that the concrete deterioration was ongoing. Based on those inspections, the concrete deck rated 4, which means that it's in poor condition. Concrete abutments and concrete wing walls rated 5, which means that they are in fair condition. Considering the age of the bridge, it has been determined that the bridge replacement is needed. Based on the structural analysis performed on this bridge, from a structural standpoint, the bridge is safe to carry traffic as is. The last issue with this bridge is the geometry of the bridge. The current geometry of the bridge cannot accommodate a wider roadways with larger shoulders. In order to meet today's roadway standards, the roadway should be widened, and the roadway should have larger shoulders. Therefore, the bridge needs to be replaced to provide larger roadway. There are 6 images up on your screen capturing the current condition of the existing abutments and wing walls. Based on the inspection performed on this bridge, there are neck cracking, surface cracks, and efflorescences on the wing walls and abutment faces. There are 4 images up on your screen. The images were taken on the underside of the bridge. These images captures the concrete deterioration, the cracks, and the exposed rebars I mentioned earlier. As I said, our maintenance forces, they touched up the existing exposed rebars with zinc to prevent further corrosion. The image shown on your screen captures the current condition of the bridge inlet. This picture on your screen captures the condition of the bridge outlet. From here on, I will hand off the presentation to Mikhail Thomas, the design engineer of this project, for the details of our proposal.
Thank you, Ray. This portion of our presentation will cover elements of the design of our proposed replacement for Bridge 02128. These elements include traffic considerations, where we discuss the proposed detour, utility considerations, where impacts to relevant existing utilities are discussed, the proposed design of the bridge, the proposed construction sequence, impacts to existing right-of-way, and any environmental considerations such as required permitting. One of the first elements of the project discussed was how traffic will be managed during the construction of the bridge. The proposed signed detour for this project will utilize only state roads. It is anticipated that the official detour will be approximately 5.3 miles and take about 9 minutes to complete. Travelers south of the bridge will continue south on Route 12 or Riverside Drive, turning onto Route 193 or West Thompson Road, then making a left turn onto Route 200 or Quadic Road, at the end of which they will merge back onto Riverside Drive. Travelers north of the bridge will take this same detour, but in reverse order. The purpose of the signed detour is also to prevent commercial truck traffic from using town roads. During the formulation of this detour plan, the department consulted with your town officials who took no exception to the proposed plan. The two streets adjacent to the bridge, the Port Street and Klondike Street, were also considered as a possible detour route. This detour would have been much shorter as it would take only about 2 minutes to complete and would be only 0.3 miles. However, our traffic team determined there were deficiencies with these streets which made them unsuitable as an official detour route. First and foremost, these streets are very narrow and includes a sharp turn radius between the two, which means these streets may not be capable of accommodating large truck traffic. There is also a covered bridge carrying Klondike Street, which has no weight limit restrictions. Therefore, this route can be used by emergency services such as the fire department and ambulance services, as well as school buses. And finally, the residential nature of this area would most likely experience significant pedestrian activity, including children, which we would like to avoid as much as possible. However, these streets will be accessible for the duration of the project. Therefore, we anticipate this unofficial detour will probably be used by many local travelers who know the area, including school buses during pickup and return of students. During the design of the replacement bridge, the design team also had to consider the possible impacts to existing utilities near the bridge. The department has identified two types of utilities. There are overhead power lines at the eastern gutter line of the bridge, shown in orange on the screen, and a 28-inch reinforced concrete sewer main, shown in blue. During construction, 3 temporary poles will be installed east of the bridge to safely carry power lines away from construction activities, as shown in red. These temporary poles will be connected to the green poles, which are the permanently relocated Eversource poles 206 and 209. It is necessary to relocate these poles in order to align the overhead lines with the new gutter line, since the road and bridge will be widened. Once construction is complete, Eversource pole 207 will also be permanently relocated midway between poles 206 and 209. No power outages and/or telecommunication outages are expected during any utility relocation. The sewer main, on the other hand, is approximately 15 feet east of the bridge's eastern edge, which is enough room to successfully replace the bridge without impacting the sewer. Therefore, it is our intention to maintain and protect the sewer main for the duration of the project. On this slide, we can see an existing view of the bridge, alongside a simple 3D rendering of the completed replacement bridge. To reiterate what Raymond said earlier this evening, replacement of the bridge is warranted because the current bridge does not have enough room within its hydraulic opening. The close proximity of French River downstream causes there to be significant backwater, which controls the hydraulic design and makes it difficult to meet current hydraulic requirements. Furthermore, the bridge deck is currently rated as 4, which, according to the American Association of Highway Transportation Officials, the bridge deck is in poor condition. This is due to the ongoing deterioration of the deck slab and its exposed reinforcement. Due to these factors, the scope of the bridge will be a complete bridge replacement with a single-span beam bridge consisting of pre-stressed deck units or beams that will be permanently connected to the abutments and wing walls or supports. In other words, an integral abutment bridge. In addition, the abutments, wing walls, and deck units will be precast, meaning the supports and deck beams will be manufactured off-site and then delivered to the project for placement. There are several advantages to using our proposed design. Any scour concerns identified by the department will be addressed, meaning the soil at the edge of the abutments will be prevented from washing away as much as possible. The overall width of the bridge will be increased, therefore some future road widening can be accommodated. The proposed roadway will now include 4 feet shoulders, therefore updating the roadway to meet current highway standards. The bridge opening will now be able to better accommodate the 100-year 24-hour storm flow, and the upstream passage of fish within the brook will be maintained as recommended by the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. There will also be a riparian shelf at the inside face of each abutment in order for other wildlife to safely cross underneath the bridge. And finally, integral abutment bridges by design also have fewer joints than other traditional bridge designs, therefore significantly lowering future maintenance costs. Shown here is a bird's eye view of the completed bridge. The gray shaded area indicates the approximate roadway limits for this project. This is an alternate view of the proposed structure. Here we can more clearly see the replacement bridge showing the cast-in-place single-slope parapets or barriers in green at the gutter lines of the roadway. The road itself is currently proposed to be a 4-inch thick bituminous concrete pavement and will sit on an 8.5-inch minimum thick concrete deck. Underneath the deck will be the pre-stressed deck units, which will all be supported by the precast abutments and wing walls. Finally, as shown underneath the abutments, the entire bridge will be founded on micropiles. The purple shaded area gives an indication of what the surface of the embankments at the wing walls may look like. A side view of the bridge at the inlet reveals more design features. The minimum clearance between the bottom of the deck and the top of the stream bed will be about 4 feet. The stream bed elevation at the inlet will be at 316 feet, with the 2-year water surface elevation approximately 2 feet above. Thus, at least 1 foot minimum underclearance will be provided. We can get a better view of the bridge superstructure and roadway layout by viewing a cross-section through the middle of the bridge. From this view, we can see that the roadway will consist of 2 12-feet travel lanes at the center, with 4 feet shoulders on either side. The surface of the road will be pitched away from center, starting at 2% within the travel lane, then changing to 4% at the shoulders. This is to allow water to drain away from the roadway to the gutter line. This view also provides a better look at the parapets at the roadway's edge, which are standard Connecticut Department of Transportation bridge barriers consisting of a single slope at the front face. The road pavement will be placed above the concrete deck. The deck will be cast in place at the project and will vary in thickness, but its minimum thickness will be 8.5 inches. The entire upper superstructure will be supported by 9 voided deck beams, each 48 inches wide by 21 inches high. Next, we will give a brief demonstration on how the bridge will be constructed once the existing bridge is removed. The first step will be to install a fully enclosed cofferdam at the location of the bridge abutments once the road is closed. These cofferdams will assist with earth retention and water handling during the installment of the bridge abutments and wing walls. Once the fully enclosed cofferdams are in place, earth within the cofferdams will be excavated and the macropiles will be installed at the precise locations. After the macropiles have been installed, the abutment and wing wall pieces will be placed above the macropiles, with the exposed ends of the macropiles protruding into the voids of the abutment pieces. Then, the voids within the abutment pieces that house the macropile ends will be filled in with concrete. The spaces between each abutment pieces, called share keys, will also be filled in at this point. Once the complete substructure is in place and concrete cured, the precast beams will be erected with each end positioned on top of the abutments. The next phase will consist of pouring the deck over the beams, encasing the beam ends in concrete, and constructing the upper portions of the wing walls. The final phase to complete the bridge will be to pave the roadway and construct the concrete parapets once the deck is in place and its concrete has attained the required strength. We will now hear from a member of the department's Office of Right-of-Way to discuss with you how the department handles any right-of-way concerns.
My name is Matt Giannakopoulos, and I am a project coordinator with the department's Division of Rights of Way. It is our office's responsibility to acquire the property rights needed for transportation projects. The proposed project design requires the acquisition of property rights, so I'd like to give a brief overview of the department's right-of-way acquisition process. Please keep in mind, though, that the specific impacts are still being fine-tuned and may change as the design progresses. Any property rights that will be required will be acquired in accordance with Connecticut General Statutes, Sections 13A-73 and 13A-98E. Whenever there is federal money used in any aspect of a project, the department must adhere to the Uniform Relocation Assistance and Real Property Acquisition Policies Act of 1970 as amended. Once the design has moved to the point where we are ready to begin the acquisition process, each affected property owner will receive a formal letter of intent to acquire from our office, along with a property map which depicts the exact property rights to be acquired. At that point, our office will determine the fair market value of those property rights and use that value to establish an offer of just compensation. That offer will be sent out to the property owner in writing, and a right-of-way agent will be available to meet with the property owner and explain the project, go over the specific impacts to their property, and explain the state's offer. The property owner will have a reasonable time, typically at least 30 days, to consider the state's offer and enter into negotiations. If an agreement is reached, the states will prepare all the necessary paperwork and record the deed and the property map on the town land records. However, if negotiations reach an impasse, in order to keep everything on schedule, the department may acquire the necessary property rights through its power of eminent domain. In that event, the state files a notice of condemnation in the Superior Court, along with a monetary deposit in the amount of the state's offer. The owner would have 6 months from that date to file an appeal if they felt that the state's offer was inadequate. Whether or not the owner chooses to appeal, the money that was deposited in the court is available to be withdrawn by the owner, subject to the discretion of the Superior Court. I know a lot of people, when they hear the phrase eminent domain, thinks that it means the state just takes their property for $1. However, the owners are entitled to at least the state's original offer of just compensation, and the state only takes title to the property rights that are needed for the project. If there are any questions regarding the department's right-of-way acquisition process, I'd be happy to address them once the presentation has concluded.
Now that we have an idea of how the right-of-way process works, let us take a look at the right-of-way impact plan for this project. At the moment, only the properties that are adjacent to the bridge will be affected in some way. We anticipate only minimal impacts to these properties. The largest impact based on area size will be for temporary construction easements and will total about 14,000 square feet within the two adjacent properties, east of the bridge and shaded in blue on the screen. This temporary easement is necessary in order to install the temporary poles and to provide a construction laydown area for contractors. Our preliminary plan indicates only about 700 square feet of permanent right-of-way acquisitions, again only from the adjacent properties east of the bridge, and this time shaded in red on the screen. This, of course, is due to the new alignment of the overhead power lines once the poles have been relocated to their final positions. The only other impact type expected would be right-to-grade or slope easements to allow for grading and stabilization of the embankments at the outside face of the wing walls, which are the orange shaded areas on the screen. These impacts only total about 550 square feet. The design team will try to keep all right-of-way impacts to a minimum as much as possible. Now we will discuss the environmental permitting required for this project, since Sunset Hill Brook is a regulated environmental resource. Based on coordination with regulatory agencies and the expectation that the impacts to the regulated areas will be minimal, the following permits are required. A wetlands and watercourse permit, which is required for impact within a watercourse. A flood management certification approval for impact within any floodplain, and also a U.S. Army Corps of Engineers general permit, which, as the name suggests, is a general permit required for any construction work. And finally, a U.S. Army Corps of Engineers self-verification, which is part of the aforementioned general permit. As a conclusion to this part of our presentation, here is a brief overview of the project schedule. Based on the current project schedule, construction is anticipated to start in the summer of 2023. The road closure and traffic detour will take place during the summer of 2024 for a continuous duration of no more than 10 weeks while schools are not in session. The current estimated construction phase cost for the project is estimated to be $2.7 million and will be funded using 80% federal funds and 20% state funds. Thank you for your attention during this presentation. I will now turn it back over to our project manager, Brian Reed.
Thank you, Mikhail. And that concludes our formal presentation of the project. I'd like to thank the project team for a great job in putting the presentation together. And I'd also like to thank those people behind the scenes who were instrumental in helping us get this live event out to you all who are viewing it tonight. Once again, our project team will be monitoring the chat window, the project email, and the phone line for any questions or comments you'd like to ask or offer. We'll do our best to answer them with as much detail and clarity as possible. Since we are monitoring the chat, email, and phone in real time, please understand there may be a delay from the time you submit a question to the time it is posted to the chat window and addressed by our project team. Please remember that the comment period is open through June 10th. So if you think of a question after this event has ended, or if we provide an answer to a question this evening and you'd like additional details, please reach out to us at any point through the comment period and we'll get back to you with an answer. Once again, you can reach us by sending an email to dotproject141-157@ct.gov. You can reach us by phone by leaving a voicemail at 860-944-1111. And both the email and phone will be available through June 10th. Or you can send us a chat through the MS Teams tonight. Whether contacting us through email or voicemail, we will not include your name with your question unless you specifically request us to do so. And remember, if you send a comment by MS Teams chat, you have the option to post the question anonymously. All questions that come in during this session will be posted to the chat window and read aloud for the project team to answer. In the coming days, the formal portion of this presentation will be posted to the YouTube project channel, and a report of meeting which captures this evening's question and answer session will be posted to the project webpage. Closed captioning options will be available for the YouTube video at that time. If you have the time to accommodate us, we'd also really appreciate if you take our survey at www.survey.com/r/8C9WWJL. Results from the survey will be used to provide enhancements to our future presentations. That link will also be available in the chat window, at the bottom of the project webpage, and in the description field of the project YouTube channel. Once again, the public comment period is open through June 10th, during which time you'll be able to reach us through the project email and voicemail. Thanks again for taking time out of your evening to view our presentation. We hope it was educational and informative. At this time, we will begin the question and answer portion of the event, and the project team will be answering any questions that come in. Thank you once again. The first question we have this evening is, can you review the detour? Raymond, could you please address that question, answer that question?
Good evening, Brian. Yes, I definitely have the question. I will definitely revisit the detour plan. We have, as Mikhail mentioned, we have worked with our traffic engineers on the detour plan, and based on the current proposal, the detour is about 5.3 miles long and will approximately take 9 minutes to complete the detour. In this detour, only the state roads will be utilized. So the travelers that would like to travel to the side of the bridge will follow Route 12, and then they will get back on Route 193 and then Route 200 to reach to the north side of the bridge. And then the travelers that would like to travel in the reverse direction, they will follow Route 200, and then they will get on Route 193 and then back on Route 12. So this detour will be a signed detour, and this will be utilized by larger trucks, larger traffic. Based on our coordination with our traffic design team, what they mentioned is that, which Mikhail also mentioned, we will have an on-sign detour. So this is not a part of our official detour. As Mikhail explained, this detour is not feasible for larger vehicles such as trucks, but local travelers who knows this area will be able to use Laporte Street and then Klondike Street to get back on the other side of the bridge during road closure. We also expect that this detour will be utilized by emergency services, so there will be no delay in the response time of the emergency services. Additionally, school buses can also utilize this detour route so that there will be no delay for the parents with kids for have them to go to school on time.
Thank you, Raymond. Just as a reminder to our viewers this evening, questions can be submitted through email at DOT-141-157@ct.gov. Or you can leave a voicemail at 860-944-1111. Or you can also leave a message on the MS Teams chat. Our design team is, waiting to screen your questions. We have a second question. How can you be sure that 10 weeks is enough time to complete the bridge construction and open the road to traffic? Raymond, could you please respond to this?
Yes, thank you, Brian. Yes. So let me go back to our schedule slide again, the very last slide here. So so the 10-week road closure has been determined in accordance with our past experiences where we have built similar type of bridges in terms of the geometry as well as the bridge components that we utilized. Here, we are proposing to use all precast concrete components as well as pre-stressed deck units to complete the substructure and some portion of the superstructure of our bridge. So only the deck is going to be cast in place, which means that it needs to be constructed on site. So considering all these different, these accelerated bridge construction techniques where we have been utilizing over and over in the state, we have confidence that when we have a road closure of 10 consecutive weeks, we will definitely construct the bridge and reopen road back to traffic. Outside of that 10-week closure, we may need to do some additional work outside the bridge limits, such as landscaping or restoration of the utility poles to their permanent locations, as Mikhail Thomas has just shown.
Okay, thank you, Raymond. Just to remind our viewers this evening, if you have some time, we'd really appreciate it if you could complete a brief survey, which can be found at www.surveymonkey.com. www.facebook.com/r/8C9WWJL. Let's see, our next question is, can the bridge be constructed in stages so that at least one-way traffic is maintained during construction? Raymond, could you please respond?
Yes, absolutely. Let me go back to the slide where maybe one more slide. Let me show the underside. Yep. So this is the one of the biggest, structural issue associated with this bridge currently. So the deck has started deteriorating, and we have reinforcement has been exposed. So if we would like to go with a stage construction, which we considered this option in this project as well as in the previous projects, the biggest the problem that we may experience is that if we would like to go with a stage construction, we have to maintain a traffic on some portion of the existing bridge, which means that we have to demo the bridge in stages as well. The biggest concern here is that if we start cutting the bridge into half, we cannot ensure the stability of the existing concrete. As I mentioned earlier, the bridge is very old. As long as we introduce a partial demo on the bridge, we may not ensure its stability. Therefore, based on our conversation with the district construction, we would like to avoid staging the construction.
Thank you, Raymond. Again, for our viewers, you're welcome to visit our website at portal.ct.gov/DOT Thompson 141-157. That's DOT Thompson, all one word, 141-157. Wait, another question. Can you explain the reason for the delay between the start of construction and the beginning of the road closure?
Sure. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Go right ahead, Raymond.
Okay. Thank you, Brian. Absolutely. I brought up the project, the slide that shows the project schedule. So there are some works or I would say items that needs to be completed prior to constructing the bridge. And then there are some components, obviously the bridge component, that needs to be done at a different time. So the start of construction, as mentioned earlier, will take in the summer of 2023. And based on the current phase of this project, we anticipate no closures. During the first closure, the utility relocation will take place so that the utility poles carrying the overhead lines will be outside the way of our prime contractor. So because during the prime construction of the bridge, the contractor will most likely to utilize a larger cranes to install all the heavy precast concrete components. So the delay is due to the fact that, as I mentioned, that the work that needs to be done prior to bridge construction, which will allow us to mobilize, which will allow our contractor, I should say, to mobilize and initiate the detour to begin the major bridge construction. And then in the spring of, the summer of 2024, I'm thinking right now could be maybe the last week of June until the very last week of August, roughly. We will close the road for 10 weeks, and then we're going to perform the bridge replacement and then reopen it back to traffic. So again, the delay in between is needed to perform additional work so that we can initiate the bridge construction.
Thank you, Raymond. Just for our viewers, once again, a reminder, our comment period is open through Thursday, June 10th, 2021. And you could reach us until that time utilizing the email at DOT project 141-157 at ct.gov. Or you can leave a voicemail by calling 860-944-1111. A couple more questions. Will the currently landscaped areas that fall within construction easement limits be restored back to their existing condition? Who will be responsible for replanting of the vegetation I currently have on my property? Could you address that, Raymond?
Yes, sure. I can definitely provide an answer, and then I can let Matt Giannakopoulos also provide more explanation on this question. Now, generally, I just want to go back to the slide where we're showing right-of-way impacts. Now, as Brian described, so we need this area shown in blue as part of our construction easement. As I mentioned, the contractor needs to mobilize and place his construction equipment here to complete the bridge construction. So all these areas that are disturbed during the construction activities will be restored by the prime contractor. During the acquisition process, our property agents will definitely reach out to the property owners, and then we'll kindly ask them to see if they have any special vegetation that they've planted, or if there are any trees that they would like to keep in there. They may ask us not to remove that for privacy purpose. So this all be informed by our right-of-way, property agent during the acquisition process. Matt, would you like to provide more insight on this question?
Yeah, absolutely, Raymond. This is Matt Giannakopoulos. I'm from the Department's Division of Rights of Way. And like Raymond said, the construction easement areas needed during the project, it gets restored at the end of the project, usually just by turf establishment and reseeding any grass. Any sort of plantings or trees that are impacted as part of the project, that gets taken into account in the compensation, in our offer of compensation that is sent to the owner. And typically it would be the owner, once they receive that compensation, they can choose to replant or do with that money as they please. But typically the contractor is just going to reseed the area with grass, and any sort of more significant plantings would be compensated for, and up to the owner to replant how they decided.
Thank you, Matt. Any more questions, Brian?
At this time, no. I just want to, I'd like to ask our viewers to, if they have an opportunity to please complete our survey at www.surveymonkey.com at /r/8C9WWJL. I don't see any more questions coming in at this time. Again, to our viewers, our comment period is open through Thursday, June 10th. You can submit any questions you may have using the project email or leaving a voicemail at 860-944-1111. Raymond, it would appear one last question. Is the existing bridge, based on its current condition, safe to carry traffic until the bridge is replaced?
Sure. We have performed a structural analysis, again, from theoretical standpoint on the existing bridge, considering its current condition, and it is safe to carry traffic until it's replaced. We don't have major structural concerns based on its current condition. Again, as I said, it was rehabilitated. It's just a concrete deterioration has been ongoing, but that should not compromise the structural integrity at this point. So yes, it is safe.
Thank you, Raymond. Very good. I think that's. It appears that we'll have no more we have no more questions at this time. So at this time, we will be ending the question and answer session in this virtual public information meeting. Remember, the comment period for the project is open through Thursday, June 10th, 2021. Should you have any additional questions or comments, please contact us through the project email at dotproject141-157@ct.gov, or you can leave a voicemail at 860-944-1111. Again, if you have time, we'd also appreciate it if you could take our survey at www.surveymonkey.com/r/8C9WWJL. Thank you again for joining us this evening.